Windy welcome for competitors at the Rally of South Africa, round 7 of the Stanek Rally Championship. A pilot project aimed at gaining South Africa a place on the FIA World Rally Championship calendar, the Rally of South Africa carried international status. There were entries from Zimbabwe and Namibia, with Zimbabwean Hannes Kruger among the potential winners of the penultimate championship event of the rally season.
No, it's all new to us. Roads are very much narrower than in Swaziland. Some interesting railway line stages, first time we've done them. We've had a recce. We're out here to come and have some fun and try not to break the car and see what happens.
With a 28-point championship lead over Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson going into the Rally of South Africa, the VW Motorsport factory crew of 1997 South African champions, Jan Habak and Douglas Judd, were looking at wrapping up this year's title.
Our main objective is for the maximising our points for the championship, and winning the rally is maybe second prize at this stage, so we're not too concerned about being up front all the time, and we're just trying to get maximum points for the moment.
Castrol Toyota crew Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson on home turf still had a mathematical chance of winning the championship.
Well, I don't think at this stage it's backyard anymore. We all practiced the stages, we went over them with pace notes. I think that backyard thing is running out a bit.
Strategy?
Well, we're going to try as hard as we can and try and, keep ahead.
The opening shots on the Rally of South Africa were fired on a super special stage at the Ratanga Junction theme park on the outskirts of Cape Town. Super special stages are now almost mandatory for Stanek Rally Championship organisers, and a huge crowd was on hand to take in the action. Super special stages see 2 cars out at the same time on a mirror image course, and they provide for some spectacular motoring, with rally enthusiasts getting a close-up of the stars at work. An interesting combination paired together Zimbabwe crews Hannes Kruger and Tony Rowley, and Jamie White and Philip Archenoul. The ex-factory Toyota Conquest, developed and built in South Africa and previously campaigned by Damso and Vito Bonafide, gave Kruger and Rowley a distinct advantage. Former factory driver Enzo Kuhn was teamed up with Steve Krobelaar in the Fuchs Top Car BMW, with the pair drawn against Eastern Cape crew Gijs Klein and Johan Barnard in the Team Total VW Golf. The BMW is rear-wheel driven, and Kuhn was in his element. Kuhn threw the bulky Beamer around with gay abandon, and with the car sideways through most of the course, the crowd was loving it. Short super special stages are often a co-driver's nightmare. All the top co-drivers will tell you just how easy it is to make mistakes, and little glitch cost Team Total Toyota pair Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper precious seconds, but made for an exciting finish against Craig Trott and Brian Duncan in the Team Total Toyota Conquest. Wily old veteran Hannes Krobelaar and Nick Haddon in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra were up against the Team Total Toyota Corolla crew of Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris. While Krobelaar and Haddon were content to take it easy, youth and enthusiasm took over for Damso and Aris. Young Damso, son of Serge, and Aris scorched their way through the stage to set up the fastest time and find themselves in the unlikely position as the early Rally of South Africa leaders. Another interesting matchup saw reigning Class A7 champions Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding paired with current Class A6 champions Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz. Although they compete in different classes, a fierce rivalry exists between the two crews, and the VW versus Toyota clash provided for another desperately close finish, with the 2 cars posting identical times. There were a few hiccups in the stage for both the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort crew of Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake, and the Team Total Toyota Conquest in the hands of Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley. The Toyota crew ended up 2 seconds quicker, but the clash everyone was waiting for was the showdown between the factory crews of Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the Castrol Toyota Conquest, and championship leaders Jan Habak and Douglas Judd in the VW Motorsport Golf. A narrow win for Damso and Hodgson completed the entertainment on day one of the Rally of South Africa, with Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris upstaging the works teams and everyone else. Damso and Aris were overnight leaders, albeit by a single second. Table Mountain in all its glory, and although there was hardly a cloud in the early morning sky, there was a fresh wind blowing as crews prepared to tackle day two of the Rally of South Africa. Ahead of crews were an historic special stage in the sprawling Khayelitsha township between Cape Town and Somerset West, and a trip up the N2 with special stages in the Grabo, Botterivier and Caledon areas. The strong wind made life a little unpleasant for the spectators who flocked to the Khayelitsha special stage. And first on the road were local favourites Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the Castrol Toyota Conquest. Championship leaders Jan Habak and Doug Judd were also soon hard at work. And race cam action here is from the factory VW Golf.
50. Turn slow right, 120. Turn slow right. Turn slow right around pole. Turn slow right here, 200.
Habak and Judd got their day off to a good start by taking 6 seconds off Damso and Hodgson, and that put them into an early lead. The locals were lapping up their first taste of national championship rallying, and adding to the local colour, the organising committee had laid on a commentator to keep spectators up to date on the progress of cars through the special stage. One of the better scraps was going to be the Class A6 battle between Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz and local crew Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris.
Today we're gonna go quick in the forest stages where JP hasn't got the advantage, and then when we get to railway lines we want to just protect our lead. So for us it's full taps from now on.
After two non-finishes in a row, Fecken and Lukowitz had surrendered the Class A6 championship lead to Damso and Aris. As the rally progressed, the A6 frontrunners were also likely to come into conflict, with Class A7 champions Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding in the Reeks Towing VW Golf, and Pretoria crew Barry Hrobler and Mike Burrows in the Team Total VW Golf. Still keeping Khayelitsha locals abreast of the action was commentator Mwawetu Ndudu.
Right, Joe, as you see now, this is the first time actually we're experiencing this thing. It seems that people here they are enjoying this thing. And I believe that actually, since this is the first time this has been done in our township, and especially in the Black Township in the South Africa as a whole, I believe that now this is very important, and also not only for the Rally of South Africa, also for the people of South Africa in large.
Special Stage 3 and a spectacular change of scenery as the Rally of South Africa moved into the Grabo area, and a shift in focus to the Group N category, where championship positions were wide open. Leading the Group N and Class N3 championships were reigning drivers champion Hannes Krobler and Nick Haddon in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra. Like Habak and Judd, the Krobler-Haddon combination were looking to make the championship safe, but they were not yet out of the woods. Team Total Nissan Sentra crew Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen missed the VW rally, but a good performance in the Western Cape would put the KwaZulu-Natal team back in the hunt. In Class N2, another Team Total pair, Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper in the Toyota Corolla, had lost ground in recent events, but a good result would put them back into a respectable Group N championship position. In a highly competitive class, Quibus Roos and Neil Faree in the Hencom Nissan Sentra were also a threat. At the front of the field, the battle between Damso and Hodgson and Habak and Judd was now in full swing. Damso and Hodgson were in familiar territory, and the pace went up a notch or two as South Africa's two top rally crews did away with the sparring and started to throw some heavy punches. If anyone thought Habak and Judd would sit back and drive purely for the points they needed to clinch the overall championship, their approach to this little section of Western Cape fauna and flora would have changed their minds. There was no way Team Total pair Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley were going to match the time set by the factory crews. Their battle was going to be with Paulo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake in the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort. The Ford Escort was hastily rebuilt after a major accident on the SCC All-Tar Rally a fortnight before the Rally of South Africa, and Piazza Muso and Leek were still coming to terms with a car that had not been fully set up for an event of this nature. The Ford crew were under early pressure from Class A6 leaders Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, with the Dunair Toyota Corolla pair intent on building a big cushion on Class A6 rivals Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris. After a somewhat shaky start to the season, Class A7 leaders Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding in the Reeks towing VW Golf also had a chance to wrap up the championship. Their job was made a little easier by the absence of KwaZulu-Natal crew Tony Ball and Marty Olivier, with the main danger the Pretoria pair of early championship pacesetters Barry Grobelaar and Mike Burrows in the Team Total VW Golf. The early going was a little tough for Grobelaar and Burrows, with the VW Golf running without rear brakes. Cape Town driver Fernando Rueda, a Spaniard now resident in South Africa, and Jill Tarleton were around the fringes of the top 10 in the X-Factory Daewoo Lanos. And behind them, JP Damso and Pierre Aris was settling into a rhythm and had plenty of support from hometown crowds. Zimbabweans Hannes Kruger and Tony Rowley were a long way from home and having their first taste of Western Cape rally conditions. They were out in the ex-Castrol Toyota Conquest 4x4, campaigned so successfully by Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide in days when turbocharged cars were eligible for the South African Championship. A maiden trip to the Cape did not turn out too well for the Zimbabweans, with the Toyota's computerized engine management system blowing a fuse or two. The end of the road for Kruger and Rowley, but rapidly climbing towards the top 10 were Enzo Kuhn and Steve Grobelaar in the spectacular rear-wheel drive Fuchs Top Car BMW. A former Toyota, Ford and Daewoo factory driver, Kuhn is hugely talented, and the BMW was a hit with the crowds, with Kuhn and Grobelaar running at the front of Class S20. Magnificent Cape scenery, with Botterefear nestling in the valley, and at a service park, early rally leader Serge Damso was happy with progress so far.
Yeah, we've really got into the forest in some of the long stages, and to be number one on the road is not so easy sometimes because you're actually cleaning, sweeping the road. So at least we're 4 seconds ahead at the moment. The surface is very loose, some sections a bit rough, but in general it's quite good, very nice in the forest.
While co-drivers swapped stage times, Paulo Piazza Muso was taking a deep breath.
Well, my strategy was to have a good dice with Etienne, but I had a hard stopping moment now. We caught a little old lady in the stage and we nearly hit her head on. So we had to ride up a bank to avoid her, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't do very good for the heart and the morality in the team. But anyway, we'll build our confidence again and try and keep the dice going with Etienne.
Group N leader Hannes Grobelaar was handling the tougher going as per the FIA rules.
It's going very well. The first long stage of 25 kilos was very rough. I think it's also because of the cars ahead of us that threw the stones in the road. But it went very well. We didn't have any punctures or whatever. And we kept it on the road and the next stage as well. It's a little bit different from the other rallies because we were doing like 2 stages without servicing in between, so we have to run with like spare wheels and take a little bit more cautious to get through the 2 stages because we haven't had any service in between. But we're here and it's going very well.